This first video is on what we did today in class about how to find the trigonometric ratios, the three of them, for these three special angles. Let's start with 45 degrees. So to draw or to figure out what sine of 45 is, cos of 45 is, or tan of 45 is, what you want to do is, it's easy, it's hard to say to memorize all those ratios, but it is easy to draw a square of side length 1. So if you draw a square of side length 1 and we're talking about 45-degree angles, you cut it in half by a diagonal. That's going to create this right triangle here. Both of these side lengths are 1. Using Pythagorean theorem, we can go 1 squared plus 1 squared is 2, square root that and get root 2. So the hypotenuse is root 2. We know this is a 45-degree angle because we just cut this square in by diagonal. So we've now got a 45 triangle. Notice it's an isosceles triangle too, and that sometimes is helpful when doing problems with 45-degree triangles. Okay, so for our special angles, once you make that quick diagram, you can fill in or get any value you need. So sine of 45 would be opposite over adjacent, so 1 over root 2. Cos of 45, adjacent over hypotenuse, 1 over root 2. Tan of 45, opposite over adjacent, 1 over 1, which is 1. Done. We've got the three ratios for cos of 45. Let's look for 30 and 60 degrees. It's sometimes hard. There's 6 ratios to think about for both of these angles, but it is easy to remember to just draw an equilateral triangle, all side lengths 2. Remember how you begin is you just cut that down in half. That creates the right triangle here. Since this was an equilateral triangle, all these angles were 60. This one is still 60. We cut it, so this angle is 30. Since we cut it here, this side length is a 1. And now looking at this right triangle by Pythagorean theorem, we can remember that this is the square root of 3. And now we're ready to write our ratios. Okay, so sometimes you get quicker at drawing that triangle when coming up with these angles. So now let's fill these in. Sine of 30, there's 30 up there. Sine would be opposite over hypotenuse. That's a half. Notice that cosine of 60 is also half. So I'm just going to go down there. And cosine of 30 would be adjacent, which is root 3 over 2. Or sorry, root 3 and then over hypotenuse, which is 2. And notice that's the same ratio as sine of 60. Sine of 60 would be root 3 over 2. And tan of 30 is opposite over adjacent, so 1 over root 3. And tan of 60 would be root 3 over 1, which is just root 3. So those are the two different diagrams you can draw, which you can quickly obtain the ratios of these special angles.